That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Comic Reviews. I'm Sid Part 2, and we have a pretty good sized stack. Ow, that was painful. We have a pretty good sized stack of comics this week. No trade, but wow, I think I really made up for it. Okay, so let's start as always with the last thing I read, which is Batman Beyond number 7, A New Dawn. Should have started here. The stuff with Brother Eye is finally done, or at least like temporarily over. And now we just got an issue with Terry trying to, or not Terry, with Tim just getting used to being Batman and getting used to being in the future and, just trying to figure stuff out and prove that he's worthy of the mantle and dealing with like how weird some of the stuff in the future is and how, people haven't seen him in decades. So, yay. This is the first issue of this book I've legitimately enjoyed. Matt, Terry's little brother Matt, is kind of acting out. Or something's going on with him and we're not really sure what, but I mean, he did just lose his brother who was pretty much a father figure to him. So something's going on with him. He's like somehow made a trip to Metropolis, which is just a wasteland, and it's setting up the new arc, which is the City of Yesterday. So this is the prologue to the City of Yesterday, and they talk about how because of Wayne Powers, Gotham became this like mecca, this absolute city to rival Metropolis. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff here. Finally enjoying this book, and I wish they just started here. If you were kind of interested in Batman Beyond, but I've been talking it down big time, go pick this up. This is where it's actually getting good, and I cannot recommend it enough. So yeah, or at least this issue is good. I can't guarantee the story from now on. Jurgens is writing. I don't know if he was the one originally writing or not. But yeah, so it's finally getting to a point of consistent quality. And then Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles advertisement inside the book kind of makes me want to go pick that up, but I think I'll refrain. I like how Jokers are being written. I like just everything about this is really well done. It's what I was kind of hoping for when I heard that Tim Drake was going to be Batman Beyond. I miss Terry, obviously, but this is at least well written. This is interesting, and it's dealing with some cool time travel stuff. So I'm excited about that part. So yeah, good book for a change. Let's go ahead and go on to Sensation Comics featuring Wonder Woman. I'll get into this more later, but Wonder Woman's all over the DC universe right now. Like, I've been saying that, but no, legit, Wonder Woman is everywhere. She was even in an issue of Aquaman I saw at the comics shop today. I was like, you know what? No. I'm drawing the line somewhere, and that line is at Aquaman. Because I just do not care about that character. Not saying he's not cool. If you think Aquaman's cool, that's fine. You can think that. I just don't care about him. So anyway, this issue though, Sensation Comics, which has always been doing its own thing. I thought the story was kind of okay in this, but certainly not good. But the art in this was terrible. Just terrible, man. Look at this panel of Wonder Woman's face. It just looks so bad. Oh my god, it's ugly. It's like a watercolored style, and it looks really cartoony. Ah man, this is just bad art. This is like really, really bad art. It's better than anything I could do, but not by much. And that's really saying something. Like, I don't mean to slap him in the face, but god, this is terrible. And the story, just a tiny step above. So like Cheetah gets her powers from some serum she gets from a particular berry that only grows in a particular tree, and due to LexCorp clear cutting, there's only one source of this tree anymore, so she goes to Wonder Woman for help. and they get there, and there's like kind of a Dr. Moreau's Island thing going on. It's strange. And just all around not good. And it's really contrived, and just, this is the worst this book has been, and that's disappointing. I really do look forward to this book every month, because you never know what you're going to get out of it, and I guess sometimes that means absolute crap. Like, this story could have been okay if the art was at least fun or entertaining, but no, it's just all around bad. This is definitely something that you don't have to add to your pull list, and I don't feel like it's going to be, not in stock if your store buys, an X amount of every book. So this isn't something that you necessarily need to add to your pull list. I guess I'd recommend picking it up on a month-by-month basis. Given the quality of this story, don't pick this issue up. Issue number 17, garbage. Just garbage issue. I'm sorry to be that mean, but that was really, really bad. Moving on to Action Comics number 47. Oh man, this is really good. So we're finally getting somewhere with what all this wrath and everything means, and I really like that it's really Jesus-y. If you don't like your Superman and your Jesus mixed together, like if you don't like your peanut butter and your chocolate, that's fine, but don't pick up this issue if you don't like mixing your Superman with your Jesus. So Superman finally learns, and I think there's something else really interesting besides just the Jesus allegory, but I'll get to that. Superman finally learns that the only way for him to beat wrath is to embrace it, because the whole time he's been trying to fight this wrath, this feeling of rage and stuff, and this consuming black goo that's taken him over. And he learns that the only way he's going to be able to defeat it is to use it, to embrace it, and to consume it. So like as he's getting tossed around trying to take down this doomsday situation, and Wrath is pulling a Sidious and like, give in to your hatred, blah blah blah, you're a monster and we know it. Goes, Wrath says, do you finally understand you're not really in control? I'm going to take you completely now, Clark. You've given so much already, just give a little more and I'll absorb you into my shadow, and your anger won't hurt anyone ever again. And then it goes to Clark's narration. He says, just give a little more, of course. And then he disappears and she goes, what? Where are you? I'm right here, Wrath, wherever your shadows stretch. And she says, fine, go ahead, keep on fighting him, lose yourself to rage. That's how I'll take you. And Superman says, I know. So let's try something different. Wait, you can't. All this time I've been fighting the shadow. But what if I just let it all in? And so he absorbs all this black energy, this wrath, shadow, whatever you want to call it, into himself. He takes on the sin. Once again, if you don't like your Jesus and your Superman mixing, this probably isn't the book for you. So yeah, Superman just becomes the Wrath, and he lets it, he absorbs all of it to take the power away from Wrath herself. And then he is on a power level consistent with what Superman used to be before all this stuff started up. And that's really fascinating, really interesting stuff. And Vandal Savage shows up and yada yada yada. That's like all connected to the overarching plot and all that stuff, so I won't get too far into that. But what I really like about it is, okay, I said I'd get away from the Superman and the Jesus mixing together, but you know what? It's impossible. It's too well built into the story right now. So you have Superman, who is a godlike character as far as power level and just morality goes, and who's always supposed to be above, petty human emotions and stuff, and he's not supposed to have feelings of rage and wrath and such, because he's just better than that. This is taking the power that allows him to be better than that away, and making him deal with wrath and struggle and rage as a man, or closer to it, which is very, very Christ-like. That's the thing that people really don't seem to get about Jesus, though, is like, he was a man. The whole point is that God made himself into a man. And, I'm an atheist, but I still find some of the mythology and the belief structure there really fascinating, really beautiful, from an artistic or aesthetic or storytelling device. And so Jesus saves man by becoming man and understanding what sin is and taking the sin himself. And that's problematic in some ways. I'm not going to get into that, but it is still beautifully noble sacrifice kind of stuff. Superman becomes more mortal than he's ever been and takes the wrath of man and uses it to save them. That's really cool. That is a really, really cool idea to do with him. So you really do have the Jesus allegory, where Jesus is taking sin, Superman's taking wrath. That's really, which is a sin. They even expressly stated that in an earlier issue. So, yeah. Really, really fun book. I'm not the biggest Superman fan, but this book really has done it for me. Once again, I wish they just spent a little, not much, just a little more time dealing with the idea of, or dealing with a grounded sense of struggle for Superman to fight against. An institutionalized, as opposed to mystical, alien threat, whatever. Supernatural, whatever. I really wish they had done that toward the beginning of this arc, since that's what got me interested in the book. But it did definitely deliver something that is just as, if not more, fascinating. So yeah, Superman's better Jesus than Jesus, as always. Let's go ahead and continue on here. Grant Morrison's 18 Days, number 6. So yeah, I'm far past trying to explain the plot of this book. You're either picking it up or you aren't. But you should be. So, we have kind of the backstory of how the war got started in this issue. And that's really cool. It's just interesting to see these characters interacting, and how, even when they're on a battlefield or they're just in a room, no matter what, they're always kind of at each other's throats. It's very, very tense, walking on needles kind of feeling, or walking on eggshells, avoiding needles kind of feeling anytime these characters are interacting. And it just takes a word and they're suddenly ready to go, and fight and kill each other. And that's just how they are now. That's just their family dynamic, as it were. So that is really basically we get kind of the backstory of what the initial event that starts the war is in this issue. And then we get a second story in this issue that's about, what's his name? Oh, come on. Bashima, the Terrible Oath. It's a backstory about Bashima's origin, and he has kind of a very, very mythical, almost like a reverse Moses thing. I guess I'd describe it as a really religious episode here. So, like, this I can't actually explain because his father came across a water goddess, a river goddess, and they married. And she said the condition of his marriage to her was that he could never question her. And every time that she had a kid, she was going and, killing them. So the 8th time that she's about to do this, he questions her. And it's at that point that she decides to leave him, and she takes the child but promises that he will be returned to her. And so the kid grows up with these gods and people in this nirvana like area of just this perfect childhood is how he spends his life. He learns from mystics and the greatest warriors and the greatest gurus and all this stuff. Everything is the absolute best that it could be, and he returns to his father as a grown man, ready to lead his people. But his father moved on, got a new wife, and he feared that his son would be too ambitious or whatever. So Bishima makes an oath not to have any children ever, to remain completely celibate, and to always serve the Kuru throne, as it's called. And so that's how he's on this side of the battle, the side that he clearly recognizes is wrong. And that's really cool. So he is, because of this oath that he makes, though, the gods allow him to choose the time of his death, even though he is mortal. So that's why he's lived for so many centuries. And so he's serving this wrong side of the war, and it really is, it's like Indian Game of Thrones, but with mythology. Because, that's the interesting thing about Game of Thrones, not to go too far off, but, you have all these different sides of a political or military conflict. And you like characters on both sides, but you also don't like characters on both sides. So you want kind of some ideal world where the characters you liked get to be on one team and the characters you hate are on another team and they're fighting each other. That's not how it works, because that's not how reality works. Is, anytime there's some kind of political force, there are people who are involved in it and don't want to be, but for one reason or another don't have any choice, particularly with feudalistic politics. And they're pitted against other people who maybe are on their side for the right reasons or whatever. I don't want to get too much into it, but you like Jon Snow, or you like Robb Stark and you like Tyrion, but had that continued on and neither of them, neither of their circumstances changed, then eventually they would have come to blows on opposite sides, and that's just the reality of what the situation would have been. And so that's very much what's going on here, is even though he doesn't want to be fighting with these people, he's made his oath, he's had his life, and this is what it's led up to, and that's just how it is. And that's what he has to deal with, and that's what everyone fighting against him has to deal with, is they can really like him, but it doesn't matter. He's chosen his side, and he has to stick with it, and they've chosen theirs, and they have to stick with theirs. So that's really fascinating, really cool stuff. 18 Days is just a really interesting title that I feel like people should pick up. Doctor Who, The 10th Doctor, Year 2, Number 3. Once again, why'd you renumber? So I'm disappointed, but we're getting back into this whole Egyptian gods thing. This writer must just really like that, Pyramids of Mars story. So I'm not going to really bother describing much of the plot, except that the Doctor and Gabby aren't in this issue, technically. This is mostly just like over half an issue, I think, of Gabby's journal, which is awesome because that's the thing I've been enjoying the most about this book. So this is Cindy with Gabby's journal reading it, and then stuff with Cleo and the whole Egyptian cult thing coming together and driving the plot forward. But yeah, so there's all this kooky craziness going on, and that's, it's really all that needs to be said. What else could I really say about it? There's all this crazy stuff going on about the Egyptian gods, and the journal itself is some kind of prized artifact now because it's gone through time travel. So it, technically speaking, it has knowledge of the future. So that's kind of cool. And so that's kind of being sought after, and it's all just building this new story arc together right now. And I'm hoping it'll be better than the last story arc that dealt with all the Egyptian stuff. I just hope it's better. I don't know if it's gonna be, but I really hope it will be. So yeah, the best part of this issue, as much as I like the stuff with Gabby's journal, the best part of this issue has to be at the very end, where someone shows up and saves Cindy and Cleo and everyone, and they're like, "Oh, thanks for saving us, sir." And he goes, "Oh, it's Captain, actually. Captain Jack Harkness. Yes! Bisexual Jesus is back!" Or pansexual Jesus. Yes, pansexual Jesus. So yeah, this just cool. I just like this kind of stuff. Though these covers don't have... Well, this cover does, but these alternate covers don't have anything to do with what's going on in this issue. So yeah, it's pretty much just a setup issue. I'm hoping the story arc's going to be better this time around, like I said, but otherwise I really don't know. It is what it is. It will be what it will be. And that's about all I can say. Cyborg number 5. Why did I pick this up? Because that is an amazing cover, and I'm addicted to these Looney Tunes variant covers. Seriously, just look at that. Wile E. Coyote gets Cyborg from the Acme Company and is wondering how to put it all together. That's hysterical. This is just the best thing ever right now. Looney Tunes covers, that should just be all covers. Like, screw any other covers. I just want Looney Tunes covers from now on. End of story. So what's going on in this issue? I'm not really going to describe the plot. I'm not a huge Cyborg fan or anything. I watched him on the Teen Titans show, and he was alright. Never really got that far into him. But I did enjoy this more than I expected to. I was really ready for it to kind of be annoying. I don't think Cyborg should be on the Justice League or anything like that. But I was impressed with how much I did enjoy it. And really what makes it as good as it was is just that, Cyborg is really funny. He's a really funny character. Like there's some kind of cybernetic organisms taking over an alternate Earth or whatever. I don't care. But they're talking about how they're a huge threat. And Vic says, "Just once I'd like to see something where cyborgs aren't the bad guys. Cybermen, Cylons, and Borg, oh my. Do you have any idea what that kind of negative representation does to your self-esteem?" His dad says, "Son, now isn't the time for jokes." Who's joking? That's really funny. Like, just throughout the entire book, they're telling him, this isn't the time to be joking. And he's like, I'm not joking. I'm being serious. And it's, like, really, really funny. So, yeah, this was surprisingly entertaining. That being said, I'm not picking it up. I'm just not. I don't care enough about Cyborg to pick this up on a regular basis. As refreshing and entertaining as it was, that's just not happening. I'm just not going to get invested in Cyborg. I know it, so I'm not going to bother. Kind of fun, though. Pick it up for the cover, if nothing else. Because, I mean, once again, what an amazing cover. Is that not the best cover ever? Haley, is that not the best cover ever? Say yes. See, she's going to sit here while I do my comic show, but she's not going to participate because she's a terrible girlfriend. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to Harley's Little Black Book number 1. Once again, something I picked up just because of the cover, because that is adorable. That is so funny to me. Harley and Wonder Woman switching costumes is really, really silly. The book itself, meh, it's alright. I don't like the idea of Harley Quinn having her own book, much less 3 books, all dedicated to her, but it's a thing that exists. Harley Quinn's basically become like the Deadpool of the DC universe. And once again, Wonder Woman, all over the DC universe right now. What the shit? Like, don't get me wrong, it's cool, but what the hell happened? When did Wonder Woman become Wolverine? I don't want to know. I don't know, it's funny, she just pops up in everything. I accidentally bought the same issue of Sinestro because it had a different cover without Wonder Woman on it, so I just, assumed that she wasn't, that it was the next issue, and that was my bad. But what's going on here? So apparently Harley Quinn has been a massive fan of Wonder Woman ever since she was a little girl. Which, I mean, doesn't make any sense given the shortened time span. But whatever. And she has stumbled onto a plot to kill Wonder Woman, which she cannot allow, so she insists on going over to help. All because, and not just because she wants to save Wonder Woman's life, but because she wants to save Wonder Woman's life so that they can be best friends. Or as Harley Quinn puts it, besties. Yes, that is adorable. Thank you for participating. And like often is with Harley Quinn, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So she comes across a bunch of B-list superheroes from London. And yada yada yada, B-list supervillains are planning to knock Wonder Woman out and sell her to the highest bidder. So Harley Quinn takes their knockout gas and goes to Wonder Woman's apartment and then decides to knock her out. Saying, wait, I'm your biggest fan. And so she takes Wonder Woman, lugs her into the bathroom, and throws her in the tub, then undresses her to take her costume in order to pose as Wonder Woman when the attackers come. Which she manages to pull off, and she's able to take out some of the attackers, but not all of them. But it's okay, because Wonder Woman wakes up in time to find herself naked in her own bathroom, with the only clothes around being Harley Quinn's costume. So Wonder Woman puts on Harley Quinn's costume, though I would have preferred if it were the classic Harley Quinn costume. This whole bikini thing, I don't really care for, but whatever. So yeah, she takes Harley Quinn's costume and goes and, helps Harley fight off the bad guys, and then they put them away, and so you think it's going to be like this big thing where she's going to be really mad at Harley, but instead they decide to go to the bar and have, a night out drinking and stuff. And Harley wraps herself up in the lasso of truth, and people start asking her all kinds of questions, including, does the carpet match? Witty, DC. Witty. And then Wonder Woman takes drunk Harley home. So yeah, it's a silly, fun book. That's all it's intended to be. It is an almost irresistible premise, Harley Quinn being Wonder Woman's biggest fan. it makes no sense. But I guess story over continuity is DC's new tagline. Hashtag story over continuity. But yeah, just in general, I don't like the premise of Harley Quinn having her own book. She is a character that is so completely tied to the Joker, it just never feels appropriate for her to be off on her own. Let me try to express this. The way I've always thought about it in my head, and tried my best to explain to people, if you're going to write something with Harley Quinn going solo, then the Joker has to be involved in some way. He doesn't have to directly be a part of the story, but he doesn't have to directly be in the story and be telling her what to do or be, around her the whole time, because Joker is a very overshadowing character, and if you put him in a story, he's most likely gonna kind of take over the book. But what you do with Harley Quinn is you have Joker kind of involved in the same way that the Wizard of Oz is involved in the play The Wizard of Oz. It's clearly still a very, very much a story, whatever, about Dorothy and her friends, but he's just this overarching character who's kind of like present throughout the story, even though he's only in, one or two scenes. The absolute best I have ever seen this done was an issue of Joker's Asylum. It was Joker's Asylum Volume 2 Harley Quinn. I did a motion comic of that way back in the day. I think it came out... I'm pretty sure I got that together with voice actors and stuff and was able to edit it all together less than a week after it was out. So I'll put a link to that in the description if you want to go see what I consider a good solo Harley Quinn story. This was fun, this was entertaining, but on the same level that I enjoy, goofy Deadpool books. They can be fun, but I'm not picking this up long term. It was just kind of a fun little premise, and I mean, it is certainly that enjoyable, comic booky thing of what can we do to get this crazy situation together. It was kind of more of a tongue-in-cheek Silver Age style story where, you have those stories where, Batman and Superman switch costumes for whatever reason because, someone needs to pose as Superman in court or whatever. And Clark Kent needs to be there, and so Batman would do it, and that, for some reason, made sense. And so it's kind of like that same thing. It's mostly just an excuse to get these two characters in a book together, to have a little bit of fun with them, and to get them to switch costumes. Bit steep, though, at $4.99. I don't think I would have done it if it were literally any other character, but I love Wonder Woman, so I had to do it. And once again, Wonder Woman just being all over the DC universe right now is pretty awesome. That on its own is pretty cool, and I kind of want to encourage that, so I might go pick up that issue of Aquaman. If it's still on the stands, which it probably will be because it's Aquaman, I'll talk about it next week. If it's a light week. If it's a light week and it's still on the stands, I'll talk about it. But we'll see. It's gonna be a number of things have to come together for me to go pick up an Aquaman book again. So yeah, there you go. Harley Quinn's Little Black Book. I hope people enjoy it. That one's not for me. Star Wars number 13, the continuation of the Vader Down story arc. So this was pretty fun. How do I talk about this? Because I really don't want to describe the plot. There's a lot going on in this. Basically, it's all kind of like a Mexican standoff with, Han, Dr. Aphra, Luke, and the droids. And they're all just kind of, trying to get away from each other, trying to, kill each other, or beat each other, best each other, basically. There we go. So you have all this, crazy shit going on where they're all fighting each other, more or less, or fighting against one another. And and that's fun. There's a really cool, really sly Indiana Jones reference, because like there's both Dr. Aphra and Han Solo get some kind of weird alien bug thing on them, and at the exact same time, so they're both running away, and Han's character goes, get him off, and Dr. Aphra's character goes, not wasp worms, anything but wasp worms. It's almost, why did it have to be wasp worms? And then they run into each other, and you know, it is just a holy shit moment. Everything keeps going wrong, and you know, you don't know who has the upper hand moment to moment. But it really doesn't have much to do with the whole Vader down thing. The only thing that's really going on with the Vader side of Vader down is with Princess Leia. They beg her basically not to go out in the field for this, but she's like, everybody needs to be out there. This is our only chance to take down Vader. And so she's out in the field, and her 2 bodyguards get killed, and Vader goes, well, this is unexpected. Good evening, princess. And so you have, you know, nice father-daughter reunion. I always thought it was weird that Vader never reacted to the fact that he almost killed and did torture his own daughter. But I suppose this is the guy who knowingly cut off his son's hand, so that dark side, man, it'll get you. So yeah, that's really the only thing that advances the Vader down stuff. Otherwise, we have the Luke stuff. So we have Luke, Chewie, and Han reunited with R2-D2 thrown in the mix, and the Dr. Aphra and the 2 droids are pretty much shit out of luck. They're all in pretty bad shape, and I don't know if they're going to be taken prisoner by Han and Luke and Chewie, but you know, that's just the situation. Just a really good story arc. It was a really clever way to cross these books over, and so I'm enjoying that. Yeah. There's not a ton to say about it. It's just cool. The cover, completely misleading. Cover has literally nothing to do, or almost nothing to do with the book, because there are no stormtroopers in it, and there's no Black Wookiee. Black Wookiee. That bounty hunter character in it. It's the only, there's not a TIE fighter in it. The only character on this cover that's in the book is Dr. Aphra. So yeah. There you go. That is that. Anyway. That'll do it for this week's episode of Comic Reviews. We had I think this might be a record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 single-issue books this week. No trades to talk about, but plenty of books to make up for it. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Please leave a like. Please like or comment on this video. Comments can range from telling me what you thought of the books that I read, if you read them yourself, or just, you know, suggestions for books for me to pick up. I'd love to hear anything you have to say. Please leave it in the comments below. If you thought I was unfair to something, particularly the Sensation Comics featuring Wonder Woman book, let me know. I'd love to talk this out with people and just, you know, get into it in the comments. It's always fun. I always love talking comics with people. So please leave any comments, suggestions for books or trades to pick up. I will pick up at least 1 issue of a single issue book if I can find it. If I like it enough, I'll add it to my poll, and trades or graphic novel suggestions I will always take and keep an eye out for. But until next time, everyone, thanks for watching. Bye.